That was Matt there with Van Morrison, so I think we better bring Matt in. Evening, Matt.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
All right,
What have I missed so far?
there was just a quick video of you playing with Van Morrison. You worked with him for quite a while, 10 years, I believe.
Yeah. 13. Unlucky for some.
Good times, bad times?
Absolutely, yes.
You're going to be one of these awkward interviewees that just says yes and no.
Always. Yes, no. Yeah, no. It was the classic. The best of times, the worst of times. I mean, really had wonderful musical moments in the strangest of places. You know, from anywhere from New Orleans Jazz Festival in front of 100,000 people to the Hay on Wye Literary Festival in front of 400 people. But you know, it was all good stuff, mate. All good stuff. And I think that video you had then was a great summer I had actually, because it was with the JB Horns and myself, which was Fred Wesley, P. Realis, and I think Maceo was on some of them. And if Maceo was busy, then Candy Golfer used to sub in. So yeah, it was a good lineup in the horn section. Well, apart from me. Of course.
For those of you who are not into music, the JB Horns is the James Brown Horns. For those of you that don't know, and so you got what's been going on in lockdown for you guys? I suppose Matt first.
Me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just sending a tweet. What's been going on in lockdown? Well, fortunately, Boris was quite kind to me because I've been paying the taxes every year for a long time, so that took the pressure off a bit. No, just a lot of great family time, really. I've had my children with me, so that's been nice. They've been with me for the whole sort of 3 months, and so you know, getting reacquainted with them a little bit, and been working on some musical projects at home and doing some recording, and you know, catching up with all those things that you don't get a chance to do when the normal.
But I'm talking of family and stuff. Like myself, I've got a son and a daughter, and I know you two have both got a son and a daughter.
Yeah.
I know that like they're into their music. Did you want to steer them away for the music business, or is it a great? I know it's obviously a really tough business to get into. How did you two get into it, Matt?
Well, mine was, I like to romanticize and think that the trumpet player I saw on Blue Peter was Roy Castle. But apparently when I was 6, I saw this trumpet player on Blue Peter, and I got up and danced in front of the TV and said, Mum, what's that? I want one of those. And it was someone playing the trumpet. It might have been Roy Castle. But so my dad got me a second-hand trumpet, and off I went having lessons. And then from when I was about 10, I just knew I just wanted to be a trumpet player. That was what it was, and just everything else didn't really matter, unfortunately. School and all sorts, you know, I was just single-minded about playing my trumpet. And I did all my grades by the time I was 12, and then I got invited to go to like music college on a Saturday up in London, and then I went to full-time music college, the Royal Academy of Music. Got involved with the National Youth Jazz Orchestra, and started making contacts and you know, a bit of a network, and you know, and off it all went. You know, and I've led a charmed career so far. I've never tried to stop my kids from doing music. I've never forced it down their throat. My son plays a bit of piano, a bit of drums, a bit of guitar, and my daughter's a nice singer, but they've both got like proper jobs. Well, actually, neither of them have got proper jobs. What am I talking about? My son's a cameraman in the movie, so that's not a proper job, is it? And my daughter's a beautician and self-employed, but of course, that neither of them are really working at the moment anyway, because of the world we're currently living in. But it'll all come back.
So when was your first break, Matt? Your big break?
A big break? Oh, it was probably I would say a phone call from a dear friend of mine, Leo Green, a sax player, who called up and said, "Matt, can you play the trumpet for 4 hours solid?" And I'm like, "Well, no, but I'll give it a shot. What's happening?" And he said, "Well, I'm going to do some gigs with Van Morrison, and he wants a trumpet player." And I said, "Who's he?" But I was very young and foolish at the time. I was like 22 years old. And I said, "Well, I'll pop into HMV and have a look and see who he is. He's probably got an album in there, maybe." And then I went, and there was about 45 albums of Van. So, yeah, so that was probably the start of the wonderful things I've been doing over my life. And, yeah, that lasted for like 13 years. So sort of I was touring with him all around the world until I was sort of 35, 36 years old. And it's been downhill ever since then.
But for the people that are watching, you know, like Chris, you've played in most of the biggest shows there've been, like Live Aid, Nelson Mandela concert, Nebworth and Robbie Williams, Princess Diana concert? Yeah. And then like yourself, Matt, you know, you've played with Ray Charles. You've done what's that TV show in America that's goes up for about 20 million?
The Muppet.
Yeah, the Muppet Show, yeah. Yeah, I've done the Dave Letterman show a couple of times, but the biggest one was the Songwriters Hall of Fame, the annual sort of inauguration, and Van got an award one year, probably back in about 2003, and some bright spark decided it'd be a good idea for Ray Charles to give him the award, and then another bright spark decided, well, hang on a minute, why don't Ray and Van do a song together? Right. And Van initially was like, yeah, great idea. But then he decided, well, hang on a minute, Matt, you go over there a day early and make sure Ray and his band are rehearsed up and ready for me when I get there. So I had to go over to New York, and his band were like Paul Schaefer, Will Lee. You know, it was just the who's who of the New York session scene. Yeah. And I had to run them through a 4-chord song with Ray. And they, to be honest, they were all very gracious. And then, thank goodness, some bright spark decided to record it because it was actually the last recording Ray ever did, and it made it onto his album Genius Loves Company. So yeah, luckily I've sort of got a nice little treasure there of not only performing with Ray but also an album recording with him as well, which was nice. Cool. Well, I don't know if Chris remembers, but myself and Chris have actually shared the recording studio as well, because we've recorded with Aretha Franklin together. Remember that, Chris?
Yes, absolutely. That was a few years.
We've done a couple of tracks.
Tell him you can't do it, Matt. Turn your phone.
Yeah. Fuck off, Elton. Yeah. Sorry, excuse my language. Yeah, we got a call from who was it? From Richard Cottle. Yeah, to go and record a couple of tracks for Aretha Franklin about 3 or 4 years ago, didn't we? Right. Which was nice. Yeah. So we shared the stage many a times, but the studios once as well.
Yeah. And the great thing about that session was I could not believe the power and the passion in the vocal. We were working to her original vocal stem, the original vocal take that she did. And when that stuff came through the cans, I don't know if you had this, I got hair standing up on the back of my neck. It was incredible to hear that voice coming through like that. It was really great.
Do you have to make your own luck in the music business? Would you say, is it meeting obviously you're both very talented guys, great sax player, great. No, you are great sax player, great trumpet player.
But if you had to choose one of us.
I'll just get my wife, ask her, see what she says.
Yeah. No, but everyone gets a chance. You know, I'm sure Chris, you know, like the phone call he got, you get a chance, but then it's down to you to take it and run with it. You know, so everyone gets a chance, but you know, and tragically with people like Van, you literally get half a chance. You know, if you're lucky. You know, but you know, then it's all about being ready. So you got to be ready at all times.
At all times. At all times.
Yeah.
Yeah. People,
which is hard at the moment.
Yeah.
You know,
yes.
Stay on your game.
Yeah.
But absence makes the heart grow fonder, doesn't it? I think a lot of musicians I've spoken to, all of a sudden everyone's realised there are some gigs that you take for granted, and you know, a lot of friends who have, you know, get offered some work that's kind of what we would call bread and butter stuff. You know, you do it because you're paying your bills. All of a sudden, those gigs, we'd kill to be doing those gigs right now, because music is, you know, is inside us. It's what not just what we do, but what we are and who we are as well. Yeah. So when that's taken away from you, it is hard, because I get my complete emotional spectrum out of music, you know, all the highs and lows. You know, I'm not particularly religious. I'm not particularly spiritual. You know, I don't have a yearning to educate myself in any other medium than music, really. And so when that gets taken away from you, it's a shock, you know, and you find out a lot about yourself. But I found loads of lovely, just fun, inspiring things to do while I've been on this lockdown. I've been doing music with my children, so that's been lovely. I've been doing music with myself, things that I've always wanted to do, but I've never had the time or the chance to do. So it's actually brought up some really great things. What's gone on over the last 3 months has not been 3 months wasted. I think a lot of people, in actual fact, are coming out of this 3 months better people than they went in it.
Matt, working for Van Morrison, he's sort of renowned for being, you know,
complicated.
Yeah, but I hope you don't mind me saying this, Matt. But Matt told me a story once about when Matt's mum passed away. He said he just stuck him straight on his private jet and flew him home.
Great.
Yeah, great. That was nothing to do with my mum. I was playing really badly that night. You're out of there, mate.
Oh, you could.
It was ruthless.
Doesn't Van usually stick you on somebody else's private jet? So
yeah. No, he had a good heart.
Yep.
Yeah, it was just, you know, we're all complicated, aren't we? You know, I'm sure. Yeah. But Van was musically, it's not really anyone's touched Van from a lot of the work I've done. I really enjoyed my time in the Ronnie Scott's house band for a couple of years, because that was wonderful, you know, just playing jazz in a jazz environment. But the times you remember the most quite often are the fun times. Sometimes you forget about the music, and I've had some amazing fun times touring with like Lisa Stansfield, but someone who particularly always sticks in my mind was Leo Sayer, who I did gigs with, and just one of the most fantastic characters you will ever meet. What a laugh. It's just a great guy, you know. And a fine performer as well, and some lovely songs, but he sticks in my mind just because he was such great fun.
Very funny times, Matt, like as you say.
I mean, the music's always good.
Yeah.
But then, of course, that's 2 hours a night. You've got another 22 hours a day of hanging out with people potentially, you know. So they're the times that you need to be, you know, it's important to be with, you know, with great, lovely people. And 99 times out of 100 you are. So because they're all musicians, so we're all quite similar animals, you know.
Touring doesn't
we all know the same jokes. Yeah, I say not that I want to one-upmanship your story or anything of you know, surfing in Australia while on tour with Dire Straits, but I was touring with Shakin' Stevens and I got hit by a frisbee in the mouth, and I couldn't play for 3 days, and I was on one of the days off from this tour we were doing. Yeah, I was off to play at Kate Middleton's wedding as well, so I was in a right old pickle. But I sort of I couldn't play for two days. That was frisbee. So, you know, sorry to steal your thunder there, Chris, of the Australian surfing with Dire Straits, but I think this was Cleethorpes with Shakin' Stevens.
Absolutely.
And a frisbee.
I know. You do live the life now, I have to say.
Yeah, that was.
Why I got onto that subject was, like, I was thinking CLMs, as Danny, my wife, would call them, career limiting moves, and I think you had one, didn't you, with Van Morrison, Matt, when there was a band talk. You know, he wants everybody down to give them a rollicking, and what happens?
Oh yeah, well I didn't get the memo, and as he had everyone in a circle giving them a telling off, I walked past with a bodyboard and my Bermuda shorts on. Hi guys, how you doing? You know. Yeah, I got away with that one. Yeah, we were on a tour in America and we had a day off, and everyone had sort of gone 3 sheets to the wind, but of course, you know, you're not supposed to when you're on the clock. You know, I think Jeff Dunn had gone flying a helicopter, and Georgie Fame, who was in the band at the time, and another singer, Brian Kennedy, they'd gone to do a parachute jump, and yeah, and I was off my bodyboard to hit the waves, so we got away with it though. We got away with it.
Good times.
Yeah. Depends, I think, because Dire Straits is such an international band. I mean, it's literally graced every continent, hasn't it? Its music. But I've sort of, with one of the bands I work with, it's almost the exact opposite. You know, I've been touring a lot with Wet 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 over the last couple of years, and you know, they do very well in the UK, but we don't spend much time in Europe or at all in America. Although we were supposed to in May, we were off to Australia and New Zealand for a month's tour with, would you believe, a stopover for a gig in Wuhan at the end of April, which of course has all got cancelled. But so we dodged a bullet there. So I think it depends on the band a lot, you know, of where you're going to be working. But like with Dire Straits, you're such an international band. You've got more to work with.
Oh, what would you say is your most defining moment? Sort of the best, you know. I suppose there's so many, but is there a defining when you've come off stage or you've worked with somebody and you just?
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I wish you'd have given. I guess you'd have given this question in advance.
Yeah.
How can you know? Because as soon as I give an answer, then I'll go, oh, I should have given that answer. You know, I think it's very hard. You can be doing the smallest gig to no one in particular, and that just be a wonderful musical moment.
Absolutely.
That you cherish and think, and it inspires you to learn a different song or discover a different artist, and you can also be doing like a gig at Madison Square Garden and come off feeling a bit didn't quite connect, you know. So it's certainly not about how big a venue it is or how much you get paid for doing a gig. You could be getting paid nothing or £1,000, but the gig for nothing, you might come off and feel more rewarded from. So it would be very hard to sort of pinpoint a career-defining moment, especially as the best is still yet to come.
Oh, you've done that.